Kyle! It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day for a neighbor. Won't you be mine? Could you be mine? It's a neighborly day in this beauty wood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I've always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I've always wanted to live in the neighborhood with you. So let's make the use of this beautiful day. Since we're together, might as well say, would you be mine? Could you be mine? Won't you be my neighbor? Won't you be? Won't you be my neighbor? Good afternoon. Today we will be talking about the Lutheran Church music and sacred Catholic music of the 17th century. Special guests include Kyle Bell, Kevin Smith, Ross Thomason, and Jim the Monkey.
Oh, well hello there. I know what you're wondering. Why am I reading this Lutheran hymnal book? Well, I was reading through the hymn, "My soul now magnifies the Lord," and it made me curious, where did this hymn tune come from? So I looked at the bottom and it says, "Ich heb mein Augen sehnlich auf," written by Heinrich Schütz. And it got me wondering, who is this man, Heinrich Schütz? Heinrich Schütz was a Lutheran musician born in 1585. He was originally a singer and went to study composition under Giovanni Gabrieli. His first work was a 5-part Italian madrigal. Throughout his lifetime, he also wrote German polychoral psalms, Latin motets, sacred symphonies, funeral music, small sacred concertos. By the end of the 17th century, the Lutheran Church was full of Schütz music. Because Heinrich Schütz studied in Italy under the direction of Gabrieli, he was known for mixing the Italian style with the German style of music. He was well known for his text painting, in which the music reflected his interpretation of what the text meant. He also wrote the Kleine Geistliche Concerta, or the Small Sacred Concerto, in 1636, which was directly affected by the 30 Years' War. Music has not only gone into a great decline, but in many places has been altogether destroyed by the still continuing course of the war in our beloved German homeland. It is clear to many eyes, along with the general ruinous conditions and deep-seated unrest which unhappy war is wont to bring with it. I myself am experiencing this with great regard to several of my musical compositions, which I have had to hold back for lack of publishers up to this time, and even now, until perhaps the Almighty will graciously grant us better times in which to thrive. But meanwhile, so that my God-given talent in this noble art does not remain totally idle, but can create some sort of offering, I have composed a few small concerted pieces, and have now published them as a foretaste, as it were, of my musical work in God's honor. Heinrich Schütz. From Dedication to Heinrich Schütz, Part 1. The 30 Years' War began as a result of the conflict between the Catholics and the Protestants, but ended up becoming a war all throughout Europe. This directly resulted in a decline in musicians, and Heinrich Schütz responded to this by writing small sacred concertos, which were motets for 1 to 5 solo voices with continuo.
We're sitting here with Kevin Smith, a Historia expert. Kevin Smith, is it true that a Historia is a musical setting based on a biblical narrative?
That is true.
Is it also true that in the Historia, those 7 last words of Christ by Schütz, the narration is represented by a chorus with continual, or a solo recitative, while Jesus' words are free, expressive monody, accompanied by strings and continuo?
That is also true.
And is it true that a passion, a musical depiction of the story of Jesus' crucifixion, is the most common type of passion, and that the most common type of Historia, and that 3 were written in 1666?
True and true.
And finally, what can you tell me about Buxtehude?
Why, he played organ, of course.
Buxtehude lived from 1637 to 1707 and was a well-known organist and composer. He was well known for his Abendmusiken, public concerts of sacred vocal music, and for his chorale preludes, or chorale-based organ works often improvised accompaniment to a recognizable chorale tune. We will now be converting over to the Catholic side of the story. We are sitting here with Ross Thomason, sacred concerto expert. Ross Thomason, is it true that sacred concertos were a result of the theatrical influence on Catholic church music?
Yes. Yes, it is.
Is it also true that the sacred concertos use basso continuo, the concerto medium, and operatic styles?
Yes. Yes, indeed.
And is it true that some composers, such as Monteverdi, mix the old contrapuntal style, or stile antico, with modern style, or stile moderno?
It absolutely is true. Yes.
And is it true that these polyphonal styles were quite popular in Catholic sacred music?
Yes.
And how do you feel about that?
Yes.
The large, wealthier churches, such as St. Mark's in Venice, were able to support large-scale sacred concertos. Giovanni Gabrieli, who we remember as being involved in Henry Schutz's composition studies, wrote these large-scale sacred concertos for St. Mark's. His most famous is In Excelsis, written for 4 voices, 4-part chorus, 6-part instrumental ensemble, and organ. Smaller churches cannot support the large-scale sacred concertos, which resulted in them making use of the small sacred concertos, in which one or more soloists, accompanied by organ, continuo, and often by 1 or 2 violins, was used. Ludovico Viadana and Alessandro Grandi were important figures in composition of small sacred concertos. We're here with Sister Lucrezia Vitana. Sister Lucrezia Vitana, is it true that you were born in 1590 and died in 1662?
Oh, why, yes it is, Sonny.
And is it also true that you were musically trained by your aunt and the music master of Santa Cristina della Fondazza in Bologna?
Yes, the music master in Bologna.
And is it true that you wrote 20 motets for 1 or 2 soprano voices with basso continuo?
Why, yes, I did.
And is it true that even though there were restrictions on music in convents, you stuck it to the man and positively impacted Catholic church music with your theatrical modesty, vocal ornamentation, and dissonances?
I stuck it to the man like Jesus did to Jesus.
As at present understood, an oratorio is a musical composition for solo voices, chorus, orchestra, and organ to a religious text generally taken from Holy Scripture. The dramatic element contained in the text depends for its expression on the music alone. Jim the Monkey, please tell us about oratorios. That's all we have for you today. All in all, both the Lutheran and the Catholic Church in the 17th century made use of the newest styles of music, both secular and religious, to get their messages across, the effects of which are still apparent today. Arrivederci, Gute Nacht, and good night.